My dog failed 17 times in a row. 17 times. He was trying to catch a ball I threw against the fence. It bounced the wrong way every single time. Every single time. And every single time, he ran after it like it was the first throw. Like nothing bad had ever happened before. No hesitation, no slump in his shoulders, no dramatic sigh, no moment where he sat down and questioned his entire identity. I watched him from the porch, quietly, carefully, and I realized something quietly devastating, something that hit me harder than I expected. I couldn't do that. I really couldn't. I hadn't been able to do that in a very long time. There's a specific kind of pain that comes after a career failure, a slow kind of pain. It's not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It settles in slowly, softly, like cold air filling a room. You stop applying for things you were once excited about, things you used to dream about. You start your sentences with, I'm not sure if I'm the right person, but you shrink before anyone else can reject you. You replay the rejection, the email, the call, the silence, again and again and again. Like your mind is trying to solve something it already knows the answer to. You failed. And somehow that one failure became a mirror. A mirror you now see yourself through every single day. I've been there. Most of us have. But here's what I started to notice. My dog had no such mirror. None. One evening, I was watching him try to jump onto the couch. He's not young anymore. His joints don't cooperate the way they used to. He jumped. He missed. He landed on the floor. He looked around for exactly half a second, and then he tried again. Immediately. Naturally. Not with frustration. Not with shame. Not with embarrassment. Just again. There was something almost unbearably wise about it. Something strangely beautiful. Because what he didn't do was what we always do. He didn't make the failure mean something about himself. He didn't turn one moment into an identity. He didn't attach a story to the moment. He didn't say, I'm the kind of dog who can't jump. He just reset. Simple as that. And I couldn't stop thinking, what if that's not a lack of intelligence? What if that's wisdom? Real wisdom. Here's what cognitive science tells us about dogs. Dogs don't have what psychologists call an autobiographical self, that endless narrator in the human mind. That's the part of the human brain primarily housed in the prefrontal cortex that collects our experiences, strings them together, and builds a narrative identity, a story of who we are based on what has happened to us. It's an extraordinary thing, this ability, beautiful even, but it also becomes a trap, a painful trap. This is not a design flaw in the dog. This is what Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus were pointing at when they talked about not assigning value to external events. They were trying to teach human minds what a dog's brain does naturally. The Stoics called it accepting the present as it is without coloring it with interpretation. Without asking, what does this say about me? A dog doesn't perform that interpretation. He exists entirely inside the attempt, not the meaning of the attempt. And the moment it's over, it's over. That's not emotional numbness. Not at all. That's emotional efficiency. There's a difference. Numbness is when you stop feeling things. Efficiency is when you feel them fully, completely, honestly, and then let them finish. So here's the model. I call it the 3-second reset. Watch your dog after something goes wrong. Really watch him. Count the seconds between the failure and the next attempt. With most dogs, it's 3 seconds or less. Not because they don't care, but because they care about the doing, not the meaning. Now compare that to your last rejection. How many days passed before you tried something new? How much of that time was actual rest? and how much was the quiet, corrosive replaying of what went wrong. The dog doesn't replay, he restores. There's a concept in behavioral science called behavioral momentum. It's the idea that the best predictor of future action is recent completed action, not successful action. Just action, movement, forward motion. Dogs live entirely inside this principle. Every attempt, successful or not, creates momentum for the next one. Humans interrupt that momentum by inserting meaning between the attempt and the response. We pause to evaluate ourselves instead of simply continuing. And that pause, that terrible pause, is where confidence goes to die, not in the failure itself, in the story we build around it during the silence afterward. So the practice isn't about being fearless. It's not about pretending the rejection didn't hurt. It hurt. Of course it hurt. But here's what I want you to try. The next time something doesn't work out, a job you didn't get, a project that fell apart, a conversation that went badly, give yourself the feeling fully, honestly, sit with it for a moment, and then ask yourself one question. What would my dog do next? Not in 5 days. Not after he'd processed it with 3 friends in a sleep cycle. Right now. What would he do next? He would look up, he would find the thing worth doing, and he would move toward it immediately, naturally. Not because the pain was gone, but because the present moment, this one, right now, contains something more interesting than the last one. That's the reset. That's the lesson that took me years to understand, and that my dog demonstrates 17 times a day without ever knowing he's teaching me anything. He doesn't know he's a philosopher. He's just a dog who wants to catch the ball. And somehow that's enough. That's everything. There's a specific stillness in watching a dog sleep after a long day. A peaceful kind of stillness. He ran, he stumbled, he tried, he missed, he kept going, and now he sleeps like none of it weighs anything. Because for him, it doesn't, not because the day didn't matter, but because he gave himself to it fully, completely, without reservation, without carrying yesterday into tomorrow. You have been carrying something heavy for a long time, something that happened once, maybe recently, maybe long ago, that you've allowed to become the explanation for who you are. You haven't failed and moved on. You've failed and stayed. Not in the place where it happened, but in the story you built about it. Your dog would like you to know something simple, something quiet. He would like you to know, without drama, without speeches, without pretending life is easy, that the next attempt is not contaminated by the last one. That the only thing standing between you and momentum is 3 seconds and a decision, not courage, not readiness, not perfectly healed confidence, just the next step. Taken the way a dog takes it is like the ground in front of him is the only ground that has ever existed. Go try again. Please try again. Not because you're sure, not because the last failure has been resolved, but because your dog is watching and somehow he already knows you're going to be okay.